Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, the Batman, the Riddler action figure. I've been looking pretty aggressively for this new The Batman figures for about a week now. Been reading reportings of people finding a Target all across the country. I pulled up the Target app, got the DCPI number from the Batman, and I kept going to stores, having them punch it in. Several stores said they were going to be getting them on 123, 122, 121, etc. I popped into the store today, January 19th, and they had the figures. Wasn't even the date they said they were going to get them. They were early. If you want these figures, give the store the DCPI number. They can punch it in and tell you if they have them or if any other stores have them. I believe the number is shared between the entire wave. Happy to finally have them checked off the list. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see, 22 moving parts, McFarlane toys, ages 12 plus, the Riddler, DC Multiverse, based off the upcoming The Batman film. One side, the Riddler from the Batman, other side, the Riddler. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. Backside, here's Riddler holding that giant roll of tape, and here are some other The Batman figures you should check out. So with no further ado, let's open them up. And here are all three of the Batman figures that I picked up today. Really excited to open these guys up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, and an ice picker. But before we look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is the Riddler, played by Dano in the upcoming film The Batman. He looks very different from what we're familiar with. He looks more like sort of a serial killer with his homemade makeshift outfit, and I think it's a really cool concept. Now I thought about getting a few of these guys to use as maybe Riddler henchmen with a more traditional Riddler leading the pack. Then in the third trailer, I saw there were a whole bunch of guys dressed up like this. Probably the Riddler is putting some decoys out for Batman. So this guy could potentially work as an army builder. Till I see the movie, I'm sticking with just one. So let's take a look at him. So starting with his sort of face here, definitely all seems homemade. It seems like it's a baseball cap. You can kind of see the bill down below tucked in there. I could be wrong, but that's definitely what the figure is portraying to me. Got stuff sort of duct tape on it, eyes cut out, goggles put on top. It's got this transparent chunk all over his head, so I guess he has plastic or something protecting him, maybe to prevent him getting blood splattered on him. I have no idea. You can see these green straps going to the back. Very unique concept, looks pretty weird. I bet there's a bunch of people that are complaining how bad this looks. I'm totally open to it. Little question mark on his left breast. Got sort of, I don't know, raincoat jacket type thing. Double jointed elbows, black gloves, the back a little hood, black pants, cargo, double jointed knees. Overall, it looks pretty cool. Any complaints I would personally have about this guy would be pretty much complaints about how the suit is designed for the film, but I think they translate a figure form pretty well. And then, just a closer look at his head or face sculpt. Very unique looking design. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand, black perfect circle, says DC at the bottom, has one peg for the peg holes on his feet. Very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of the Riddler holding a big roll of tape, which the figure does not come with. The Riddler from the Batman. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now let's look at his ice picker. At least that's what Amazon calls it. Sure, it looks like an ice scraper. Not sure what it's actually supposed to be, but for now I'll go with the Amazon description. Looks kind of like a small little shovel. It's got a little bit of detailing on the handle there. Here's Riddler holding the ice picker. And here's Riddler scraping the ice off somebody's car. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and its accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 7.0 inches tall, which can translate to about 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up about that far, down about that much. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Give him a good amount of personality. Shoulders on a ball joint, about a 90-degree bend. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. Does have a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, just increasing that range of motion slightly. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrist is ball in it, can rotate, and is going to be hinged as well. Now, he's got a ball joint in his waist, and you can totally use that. Rotate around, go forward and back. Now, there is a little bit more articulation here. Kind of crunch him forward. But, in all reality, it's pretty much completely useless. You're not going to be able to get any of those poses to stick. So just focus on the waist articulation. His legs can only go out this far, obstructed by the jacket. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation, pretty much non-existent. Legs go forward, not too much. Back, really not at all. Double jointed knees below that. Then his ankle goes forward and back. Can rotate, can tilt, rock. And he has toe articulation. Here's Riddler on a rooftop overlooking Gotham City, holding a sniper rifle. Here's Batman sneaking up on Riddler as he's sniping from the roof. And here's Riddler getting ready to tape someone up. No more lies. Here's Batman interrogating the Riddler in the Gotham City Police Department. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is with the rest of McFarlane's The Batman figures I have so far. We have Batman, the Riddler, Catwoman, and the Batcycle. Other figures coming out: Penguin, Unmasked Batman, Unmasked Catwoman, Drifter, Drifter with facial covering, and the Drifter Cycle. Here's the Riddler next to several different comic-style Batman figures. And here, next to some Batman figures from different various forms of media, here's Riddler next to the only other live-action Batman villains that McFarlane has made. We've got both Polka Dot Man and Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad. And there are so many other Batman villains from live-action incarnations they could make. I know there's a Penguin coming out for this film, and I'm really excited to get him. I don't really consider Catwoman to be a villain in the modern day and age. And then, here he is, next to the Justice League from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League exists in the DC Cinematic Universe. It is completely separate from the Batman. And here he is, next to Arrow. Arrow's from the CW's Arrowverse. Up until these The Batman figures, Arrow was the only live-action DC figure that was not from the DC Cinematic Universe. Now let's check him out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to a couple of Lex Luthor figures. Then, next to Superboy Prime and the Dark Knight Returns Armored Batman Blue Edition. And here he is, next to a couple of Lobo figures. Then, next to the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn and the Mortal Kombat 11 Joker. And now, next to the recently released Batman 3 Joker's Wave. And here he is, next to a few McFarlane Swamp Thing Mega figures. Then, next to Nightwing and Red Hood from Gotham Knights. And finally, here he is, next to the Batman Who Laughs and Robin Crow's 4-pack. Now let's check him out, next to some other Riddler figures. Here he is, next to a DST, or Diamond Select Toys, Edward Nygma. The one on the left is Edward Nygma when he worked for the police. And on the right is a head swap, Edward Nygma in civilian attire in a regular suited body. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Riddler figures. And here he is, next to a Yamato Riddler. Then, next to my Mattel Riddler figures. And here he is, next to a McFarlane 1966 Riddler. Still trying to track down the Platinum Chase variant unmasked version. Then, next to a couple of older Kenner Riddler figures. Here's my entire collection of Riddler action figures, and I sure don't have them all. Here's Riddler, next to a couple of custom-made Riddler thugs or henchmen. And since it doesn't look like McFarlane's going to be making an Alfred or Commissioner Gordon from this film, that's not a problem, I'll supply my own. Here's a Riddler, next to a Diamond Select Toys, Alfred, and Bernard. Alfred is from their Gotham line, Bernard is from the Westworld line. Alfred doesn't exactly look like Andy Serkis, but he looks like a generic 7-scale Alfred. and Bernard is the same actor to play Gordon in the film. And here he is, next to an Edward from Twilight figure. Edward is played by Robert Pattinson, so this is kind of a Bruce Wayne out of the costume. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. Here he is, with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next is more McFarlane Toys. These are from different various video game properties. And now, next is some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, with some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is, with some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, with some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, it's a very nice figure. It's a very unique look for the Riddler, kind of like a Zodiac killer or a Saw type killer, serial killer looking Riddler. Works out really good. I think it's going to be pretty cool in the movie. A new take on the Riddler. Dark, serious, twisted. So this guy's accessories, honestly I don't know why he comes with an ice picker. Seems like complete junk. On the back of the package you had a picture with a roll of tape. That would have been kind of cool. Here's Articulation. It's pretty good, although it's totally useless under the soft goods torso area. His waist works, but the torso is pretty much pointless to have. Sculpt and paint job are excellent. Any complaints I'd have about this figure would pretty much be from the source material, not from this actual figure being translated. I think McFarlane did a pretty good job with the design. If I were to rate this guy, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I definitely like Batman the best of the 3, and I think I like Catwoman just a little bit more than Riddler, but they're pretty evenly paired. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.